Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Mosai, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Haya, not Allah. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten Son name in Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether you can accept it or not. And a sincere salutation to all the occupants pushing this truth and believing this truth through the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hope for the elect. And shalom to the Akwath who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from Jim Macelano Camp coming into another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification, another daily edification, Lord's willing. This be edifying. And I titled this lesson, War Ready is Being Prepared. So I got clip I'm going to play, actually 2 clips. Then I'm going to get some precepts. So what's going on right now is war is being prepared. So Lord willing, this be edifying. But first I'm going to read a couple of these precepts. Then I'm going to play this. So first precept I'm going to read is Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. It reads, "The thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It have been already of old time, which was before us." Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. That which have been is now, and that which is to be have already been. And Yahweh Shema shall require that which is past. So if you understand what happened in the book of Daniel, right? As a matter of fact, let's read this. This is Daniel 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and 4 beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. This was the Babylonian Empire. Talking about Nebuchadnezzar. This is verse 5, Daniel 7 and 5. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth. The 3 ribs is talking about Egypt, Babylon, and Lydia, which the Medo-Persian Empire conquered. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. This second beast was like unto a bear. It's talking about the Medo and Persian Empire. Okay, that's the point. When you read verse 6, it talk about the leper, which was the Greek Empire. Then the fourth beast, which was the Roman Empire. The point of this lesson is about the second beast. Okay? And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side. This bear is talking about the Medo and Persian Empire, man. Okay? The Medo and Persians, the Persians and the Medes, which today is the Iran, which is Iran and Russia, man. This prophecy, as I read in Ecclesiastes 1, there's nothing new under the sun. As it said in Ecclesiastes 3 and 15, let's read it again. Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. That which have been is now, and that which is to be have already been, and power required that which is past. So who took down the Babylonian Empire? It was the Medes and the Persian Empire, man. The Medo-Persian Empire was the one that took down the ancient Babylon. So, as the scriptures say, who's going to take down Babylon the Great? The Medo and Persian Empire again, man. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay? Hey, Shalom, everybody on the comment board. Yahweh Shema Shah. Bashim Kravadash Brakathum. The bottom for tuning in. My channel just came back on today. So let's pull these clips. Let's pull these clips, man. Because there's nothing new under the sun. And what's going on right now? These empires, the Lord putting the spirit on it, rise back up again, man. So let's play this. Lord willing, it be edifying. This is for educational purposes only. This is not for monetary gain. I do not own the copyright to these videos. This is for educational purposes only. Lord willing, it be edifying.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Dina Kalmeta here, and I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. But for today's broadcast, I do have some headlines I'd like to share with you. And I'd like to start with what is happening in Israel. Apparently, after 40 Gaza rockets were fired into Israel, Israel fears that the clashes will lead to a full-blown escalation. Intelligence officials tie the recent tensions in Jerusalem to the escalation that Israel has seen in other fronts and urge that incidents be handled with restraint. In response to the barrage of rockets, Israel struck Hamas military targets, including infrastructure and rocket launchers. Two groups in Gaza have claimed responsibility for the rocket fire. Israel says that it holds Gaza's ruler Hamas responsible for any violence coming from the Gaza Strip. In a statement, a Hamas spokesman said that Israel's bombing of Hamas targets in Gaza, as well as recent clashes in Jerusalem, are part of its comprehensive aggressive policies against their people. Hamas did claim the rocket fire, but said that what the Palestinians' resistance is doing in response to this aggression is within the framework of carrying out its national duty to protect and defend the interests of their people. Now, the barrage follows violent protests in Jerusalem, where Palestinians say that Israeli police have tried to prevent nighttime gatherings near the Damascus Gate, entrance to the Old City, during the Muslim holiday month. Now, police work to separate the demonstrators with the right-wing Israeli demonstrators, trying to breach roadblocks that the police erected. Late Friday, the U.S. State Department condemned the violence in Jerusalem before the Gaza barrage took place. On Saturday, the United Nations said it was working to calm the violence. But meanwhile, on Sunday, Palestinian factions in the Gaza Strip called on their supporters to escalate the uprising in Jerusalem and to form a unified leadership for popular resistance against Israel. Hamas told terrorist entities to remain ready to launch more rockets at Israel. Now, addressing the residents of East Jerusalem, the factions have said that Jerusalem will remain the capital of Palestine, and its people will remain the pride of the Palestinians. According to the factions, the violence in Jerusalem over the past 2 weeks is part of the Palestinians' battle against settlements and attempts to Judaize the city. The factions urged Palestinians to set their differences aside and work toward the establishment of national leadership of popular resistance to pursue the fight against Israel. Now, as tensions continue to escalate in Israel, an Iranian chief of staff has pledged retaliation against Israel's possible moves to take aim at what the general described as a resistant front. an apparent nod to an alleged alliance between Iran and the Syrian government and the Hezbollah group. He told reporters on Sunday that the Jewish state believes that it can constantly target Syrian soil and make moves in various places in the seas without receiving any response. Certainly, efforts undertaken in recent days and efforts in the future that will endanger their interests will bring them to their senses, and the future of the resistant front is bright. The general declined to comment on who was behind the recent incidents, including attacks on Israeli owned ships and a missile strike targeting the Jewish state's nuclear facility, but expressed confidence that the resistance front will give the Zionists a fundamental response. The remarks came just a few days after the IDF announced the country's military had attacked missile batteries in Syria, responding to the launch of a missile that fell earlier in the day near the nuclear site. Now, with that said, at least 3 people died when an Iranian tanker was attacked off Syria's coast on Saturday, and the first assault of its kind since the war started a decade ago. At least 3 Syrians were killed, including 2 members of the crew, according to a Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. But it was not clear who carried out the attack. The War Monitor stated that we don't know if this was an Israeli attack, adding that the Iranian tanker did come from Iran, and it was not clear if a drone or a missile was used in the attack. The state news agency, quoting the oil ministry, said that the fire erupted after it was believed to be attacked by a drone from the direction of the Lebanese waters, and the flames were later extinguished. Now, in addition to all of that, Joe Biden had recognized Armenian genocide, and because of that, Turkey has threatened to work closer with Iran and Russia. Now, I find this very interesting because I just brought you
Hey,
guys
Salakia, because I don't know if you're probably
a
echoing. I gotta
report
run this
on
back.
Friday
Salakia.
in regards to Turkey.
Salakia, I gotta run this back because it probably was echoing. I ain't turned the volume down, so Salakia for that. I gotta run this back. But this is heavy, man. This what's going on right now. We got Turkey. It say Turkey threatens to work with Iran and Russia. 40 rockets hit Israel. Russia fires new rockets, UFO sightings.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Dina Calmetta here, and I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. But for today's broadcast, I do have some headlines I'd like to share with you. And I'd like to start with what is happening in Israel. Apparently, after 40 Gaza rockets were fired into Israel, Israel fears that the clashes will lead to a full-blown escalation. Intelligence officials tie the recent tensions in Jerusalem to the escalation that Israel has seen in other fronts and urge that incidents be handled with restraint. In response to the barrage of rockets, Israel struck Hamas military targets, including infrastructure and rocket launchers. 2 groups in Gaza have claimed responsibility for the rocket fire. Israel says that it holds Gaza's ruler Hamas responsible for any violence coming from the Gaza Strip. In a statement, a Hamas spokesman said that Israel's bombing of Hamas targets in Gaza, as well as recent clashes in Jerusalem, are part of its comprehensive aggressive policies against their people. Hamas did claim the rocket fire, but said that what the Palestinians' resistance is doing in response to this aggression is within the framework of carrying out its national duty to protect and defend the interests of their people. Now, the barrage follows violent protests in Jerusalem, where Palestinians say that Israeli police have tried to prevent nighttime gatherings near the Damascus Gate entrance to the Old City during the Muslim holiday month. Now, police worked to separate the demonstrators with the right-wing Israeli demonstrators trying to breach roadblocks that the police erected. Late Friday, the U.S. State Department condemned the violence in Jerusalem before the Gaza barrage took place. On Saturday, the United Nations said it was working to calm the violence. But meanwhile, on Sunday, Palestinian factions in the Gaza Strip called on their supporters to escalate the uprising in Jerusalem and to form a unified leadership for popular resistance against Israel. Hamas told terrorist entities to remain ready to launch more rockets at Israel. Now, addressing the residents of East Jerusalem, the factions have said that Jerusalem will remain the capital of Palestine, and its people will remain the pride of the Palestinians. According to the factions, the violence in Jerusalem over the past 2 weeks is part of the Palestinians' battle against settlements and attempts to Judaize the city. The factions urged Palestinians to set their differences aside and work toward the establishment of national leadership of popular resistance to pursue the fight against Israel. Now, as tensions continue to escalate in Israel, an Iranian chief of staff has pledged retaliation against Israel's possible moves to take aim at what the general described as a resistant front, an apparent nod to an alleged alliance between Iran and the Syrian government and the Hezbollah group. He told reporters on Sunday that the Jewish state believes that it can constantly target Syrian soil and make moves in various places in the seas without receiving any response. Certainly, efforts undertaken in recent days and efforts in the future that will endanger their interests will bring them to their senses, and the future of the resistant front is bright. The general declined to comment on who was behind the recent incidents, including attacks on Israeli-owned ships and a missile strike targeting the Jewish state's nuclear facility, but expressed confidence that the resistance front will give the Zionists a fundamental response. The remarks came just a few days after the IDF announced the country's military had attacked missile batteries in Syria, responding to the launch of a missile that fell earlier in the day near the nuclear site. Now, with that said, at least 3 people died when an Iranian tanker was attacked off Syria's coast on Saturday, and the first assault of its kind since the war started a decade ago. At least 3 Syrians were killed, including 2 members of the crew, according to a Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. But it was not clear who carried out the attack. The War Monitor stated that we don't know if this was an Israeli attack, adding that the Iranian tanker did come from Iran, and it was not clear if a drone or a missile was used in the attack. The state news agency, quoting the oil ministry, said that the fire erupted after it was believed to be attacked by a drone from the direction of the Lebanese waters, and the flames were later extinguished. Now, in addition to all of that, Joe Biden had recognized Armenian genocide, and because of that, Turkey has threatened to work closer with Iran and Russia. Now, I find this very interesting because I just brought you guys a report on Friday in regards to Turkey, Iran, and Russia working together against Israel. And here we see Turkey threatening to work closer with Iran and Russia. And
Now, do we know this is prophecy? that's that's what this lesson is based on right here, man. Turkey working with Iran and Russia, man. This is prophecy, which is in Ezekiel 38, which I'm going to read.
that's not a threat. That's going to happen. So
Hey,
certainly some very
hey, this chick, this chick here, Carmita, she be going heavy in on information, man. And it's not a threat. It's going to happen, man. It's prophecy in Ezekiel 38, man.
prophetic headlines there. But speaking of Russia, it is being reported that Moscow is putting together a list of unfriendly nations, and the
Of
US is
course.
obviously going to be on it. According to the Russian Foreign Ministry, the blacklist is in response to the recent unfriendly moves by the Americans and their allies. Russia's spokeswoman explained on Sunday that work on the schedule of states considered to be hostile began after another round of unfriendly actions by the
Of
US.
course.
What are these unfriendly states? She asks. The list is being compiled now. As you understand, and I can confirm it, the US is obviously present. It goes on further to report that in accordance with a decree recently signed by the Russian president, the states that are declared unfriendly will not be able to hire Russian citizens to work at their diplomatic and consular missions. So it should be no surprise that relations between the US and Russia are deteriorating at a very dangerous level. And I believe it started, at least with this administration, with Joe Biden calling President Putin a killer with no soul. He also said that Moscow will soon pay a price. Now, apparently, Joe made these remarks in March. And due to all of the
That's it, Yahweh Shem Shai is moving these chess pieces strategically, man.
recent events between the US and Russia, we shouldn't be too astonished that the US is now on Russia's unfriendly list. However, aside from all of this, there is a rumor that President Putin and Biden could meet up in June. So we shall have to wait and see what happens. But in the meantime, Putin has been busy as he staged a successful test of a new interceptor rocket that can destroy U.S. space missiles. The system is designed to protect against attacks from ballistic missiles, which are usually fired into a high suborbitable space flight before re entering the Earth's atmosphere. A Russian major general said that the new rocket can travel at a speed of over 3 kilometers per second, so more than 4 times faster than a bullet from an AK 47. Speaking of the successful test, he added that the ABM system's new interceptor missile reliably proved its inherent characteristics, while the combat team successfully accomplished the task, striking a mock target with the required accuracy. Now, despite President Putin partially pulling his troops away from the Ukrainian border last week, he continues to flex his military muscles. More footage released by Moscow showed storm of steel drills in the Saratov region where several new anti-tank missiles were deployed. So Russia is definitely flexing their muscles. But let's move on just briefly and talk about China and Russia. Apparently, China has blasted a wave of new sanctions imposed by the US on Russia, saying that it will work with its counterparts in Moscow to protect against external interference and urging Washington to take a different approach instead. Speaking to
You see this? I gotta read this. This Obadiah 1 and 7. It reads, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. This is a future prophecy, man. This is future. It say, and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. You see this? They just playing with you, man. As it say in Revelation 17, this Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Yahweh Shema shall have put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of power shall be fulfilled. So, they just playing with you, man. But it said in Obadiah 1 and 7, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. So these other nations that's joined to North America through the UN is playing them, man. The Lord put in that spirit to continue for a little while longer, man. This is how the Lord play chess, man.
to journalists on Monday, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said his government was strongly opposed to the use of unilateral sanctions and would work with its allies to reduce their impact. The official said that China and Russia maintain a comprehensive partnership with each other. In matters of protecting state sovereignty, the People's Republic of China and Russia will support each other. According to Wang, who previously served in a series of diplomatic missions, Washington's new measures against Moscow are a sign of hostile American foreign policy. So it looks like China is sticking up for Russia. And we have watched their partnership grow in recent years. So certainly very interesting. Because the last thing that the United States wants is two very big nuclear powers angry with America. And I shouldn't say America, but I should say this administration. But I also
This is Proverbs 21 and 1. It reads, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. This is the Lord doing this, man. Verse 2 say, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord punneth the hearts, man. The Lord is changing the game, man.
As always, I will continue to follow these reports and bring you updates. In the meantime, I'd like to move on to this recent Pentagon UFO report. Now, I do not normally report on these types of things, but I thought it was just interesting to at least bring it to your attention. The report goes on to read that the US government is actually gearing up to share information about the reality of UFOs with the public, and not a moment too soon, says the man who claims to have run the Pentagon's UFO program for 9 years. Now, President Trump's $2.3 trillion appropriation bill for 2021 contained a mandate that the Pentagon and spy agencies must file a report about unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAP. Most of us just call them flying saucers or UFOs. Whatever the jargon, the noted whistleblower, former head of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which operated out of the secretive fifth floor of the Pentagon C Ring, told the Post about the resulting blockbuster document, which is reportedly slated for release in June. Tied to the mandate, he said that the upcoming report touches down on the unexplainable. Longtime UFO believers are hungry for explanations of the tic-tac-shaped objects the Navy encountered in 2004.
This is Zechariah 5 and 1. Zechariah 5 and 3. Then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. And the chariots is the curse that goeth forth throughout the four corners of the earth, man. We know what they is.
The strange cubes within spears seen by Navy pilots in 2014, or the mysterious black triangles continually reported around the world. Such details promise to come via the much anticipated report and at least one evolution of belief. He said, I think the government has acknowledged the reality. During a press conference, he made clear that the UFOs have been observed to have qualities that are nothing less than otherworldly. He described vessels flying at 11,000 miles per hour and being able to turn instantly. He also detailed Spielberg word.
Now hold on, because this one right here, this triangle one, Esau and them made one like this. It's called a TR3B. I was actually gonna do a lesson on this like last year. They got one called a TR3B, and it turns like on the three points. So they trying to create their fighter jets like chariots, man. If you go to Google and type in or go to YouTube, it's called a TR3B. They got a jet that look just like this, man.
UFOs have been observed to have qualities that are nothing less than otherworldly. He described vessels flying at 11,000 miles per hour and being able to turn instantly. He also detailed Spielberg-worthy operational capabilities that fall into the realm of transmedium travel. He explained that the eye-popping vessels can fly 50 feet above the Earth's surface or 80,000 feet in the sky, and even submerge underwater without a compromise in performance. He said,
That's
when
how the
you see
chariots gonna
that,
come, just like
you
that.
recognize
When
that you are
Yahweh
dealing
come
with a
back.
technology more advanced than ours. Now, despite apparent
Oh
threats to the
man, that's
security of the
beautiful.
U.S., he was particularly disturbed by the locations where the
Call out Yahweh
UFOs or
Shema Shai.
UAPs tended to hover. So why do I bring up UFOs now? Because the Bible tells us that in the last days, there will be great deceptions. Is this one of them? Now, I know that
No, it ain't no deceptions. This is Psalm 68 and 17. And it reads, the chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. Right? This is this is Jude chapter 1. This is Jude 1 and 14. It reads, and Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord coming with 10,000s of his saints. Hold on. This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 10. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000s times 10,000s stood before him. Hold on. Revelation 19 in verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doeth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of Power. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed with fine linen, white and clean. And they say the same thing when you go to 2 Ezra 13, man. This is Revelation 19, and let me see. 19, Revelation 19 and 19. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. What's the army of Yahweh Shem Shai? 10,000, thousands, thousands, tens of thousands, man. 20,000 chariots, even thousands of angels, man.
There are pictures of these things. I know that people have seen them. In fact, people in my own personal life has apparently seen these type of UFOs. But is it being used as a greater deception in the future? Are they
No, ain't no deception, man. It's real.
preparing us now to be deceived for something even bigger? I'd love to get your thoughts on all of this.
Hey, but the lesson was based off Gog and Magog, right? So let me come back to me. Get rid of that. Now, she said, as the title said, that Turkey is joining with Iran and Russia, man. And that's prophecy. Let me see if I can get this. So if you can see right here, this is a map of Ezekiel 38, Gog and Magog. I got it on my phone, so I'm going to read it. So I'm going to read this. Then I'm going to read Ezekiel 38. You got to listen to the players in the game. It say Gog and Magog war, Ezekiel 38 and 39. It say Russia is Magog, Iran is Persia. It said the former Soviet states, Meshach and Tubal. Eastern Europe is Gomer. Turkey is Togarmah. Sudan is Cush, and Lydia is Put. Now listen to this. I'm going to read this in Ezekiel 38. This is Ezekiel 38 and 1. These are the players in the game, and the main players is Iran and Russia, man. This is the same Iran and Russia is the same Medo and Persian Empire that took down the ancient Babylonians, man. There's nothing new under the sun. I read Ecclesiastes 1, Ezekiel 38 and 1. And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, which is what? The former Soviet Union, man. The former Soviet states, Meshach and Tubal. It said, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, man, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. What does it mean to put hooks into thy jaws? The Lord is turning you back to the old Soviet Union war mentality, man. That Cold War state, man. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. It say Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Russia is the guard to the other nations, man. It's showing you right here. Gomer, Magog, Togarmah, Tubal, Meshach, Togarmah, Persia, Put, and Cush, man. It said Libya, it's a Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya. Gomer and Togarmah, man. These are the main players in the game. Togarmah is Turkey, man. Okay? Persia is the Russians. Persia is the Iranians, man. These are the main players. Magog, Togarmah, and Persia, man. And you see China joining with them, man. China is joining with them, man. Now this is and I was trying to tell this guy the other week, man. Jake bugged out when I read this. This Joel 2:20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army. Now, this northern army that's in Joel 2 is not the same northern army in Jeremiah 50, man. This northern army is talking about Babylon the Great's army. Now, I was trying to tell the guy, but he got beside himself and I blocked his ass. Because I tried to tell him, this is not talking about Russia right here. This is talking about Babylon the Great's army. Joel 2:20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea. The east sea is the Persian Gulf, and his hinder part, meaning your back part, toward the utmost sea. The utmost sea is the Red Sea. This is what the Lord telling Babylon the Great, where their army, he's going to drive their army down. Again, Joel 2:20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, the Persian Gulf, and his hinder part towards the utmost sea, the Red Sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. It said his stink shall come up. Here's a precept. Isaiah 34:1. Come, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation, which is righteous anger of the Lord Yahweh, is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, future prophecy. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses. This is talking about the northern army in Joel 2:20 that's going to go into that land barren and desolate. Okay? Between the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea, man. It say that stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood, man. This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. What war? This is Revelation chapter 9 and 12. It reads, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Isaiah 9 and 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this, what? World War III, shall be with burning and fuel of fire, man. From what? Intercontinental ballistic missiles, man. Revelation chapter 9 and 16. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. So, let me turn this volume back up. And thus I saw the horses in a vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and of brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issue fire and smoke and brimstone. This is the best description that John the Revelator can give on the island of Patmos, man. Because in their time, they fought on both sides of the field. You watch the movie Troy. When they fought in the ancient time, they used to, on both sides of the field, with swords and shields and daggers and spears, and charge out at each other, man. So he said he saw the men, and I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. What are talking about? The warheads, man, on the missiles. And out of the mouths issue fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three were the third part of men killed. Who? Third part of men? Esau, Edom, man. By these three were the third part of men killed by the fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issue out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth, the warheads, and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents. Why the tail like unto serpents? They get propelled. That's why I said their power is in their mouth and in their tails. Why? Because of the tails, they get propelled by themselves, man. You don't have to take the missiles and drop them out of like they did when they dropped Fat Man and Little Boy on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They had to drop it out of a B-12. They don't got to do that no more. They don't have to do that anymore. The missiles get propelled, and when they get propelled, it leaves a smoke trail, look like a serpent in the sky, man. This is the best description that John can give of the missiles. It said, "For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt." Now, when you read this, this is the same vision that Joel saw. Let's go to Joel 2. It's Joel 2 and 4. It reads, "The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run." This is the same thing that John Revelator saw, man. Same vision, man. Of what? Missiles, man. It's the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains, shall they leap. Like the noise of a flammable fire that devours the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array, which I read in Isaiah 9 and 5. It's as a strong people set in battle array, but it's not people. It's talking about the missiles. Before their face, the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. Why would it say before their face, the people shall be much pained? Why would a person be much pained by seeing horses, man, with men sitting on them, with armor? I'm not talking about men on horses, talking about missiles, man. It said they shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march everyone on his way, and they shall not break their ranks, man. Because when they all get shot off, they all want to hit their target, man. Neither shall one thrust another. It says they shall walk everyone in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. What is that? That blast, that vacuum seal, that flame, man, that fire, man. Okay, that vacuum seal, man. When that flame, when that wall of fire come, it's coming, man. The earth shall quake before them. Why is earth going to quake with men on horses, man? The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble, meaning what? The earth, man. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, what? Of the 200 million missiles. For his camp is very great, for he is strong that executed his word. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Now, this is Isaiah 13 and 5. They come from a far country. What? The missiles from the end of heaven, even as the Lord Yahweh, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. This is Jeremiah chapter 50 and 25. The Lord Yahweh have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation, for this is the work of the Lord Yahweh, power host in the land of the Chaldeans, man. Now, dealing with that army, I was trying to tell this guy the other week, that northern army who the Lord talking about, that's talking about Russia in Jeremiah 50. But the one in Joel 2 and 20, that's talking about Babylon the Great's army. This is Jeremiah 50 and verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. It said an assembly of great nations from the north country. Assembly of great nations. Turkey, Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, they're going to come together, man. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. And I was trying to tell this knucklehead last week, Jeremiah 2 and 20, the northern army talking about Babylon the Great. But this in Jeremiah, it's talking about Russia and all his army. He said what in Ezekiel 38? It said, you shall be a guard to these nations, man. It said again, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array, Salakia, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence shall she be taken. The arrow shall be as a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. This northern army is Russia and its allies, man. Because it said in Obadiah 1, all the men of that confederacy have brought thee even to the border. What do you do when you bring somebody to the border? It's wartime, man. It's wartime. This is back in Jeremiah 50. Hey, because even as it say right here, let's read this. Jeremiah 50 and verse 12. It reads, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Who bare North America? North America, Babylon the Great came out of what? Great Britain, man. Okay? You put sanctions on all these nations, man. Hey, this ain't how Great Britain do things, man. So it say your mother, Jeremiah 50 and 12, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert, man. You see, even your mother is pissed off with you, man. Why? Because you playing the bully, man. North America, Babylon the Great, has been the bully on the schoolyard forever, man. And what happened to a bully? They eventually get beat up, man. So you playing the bully all this time, man. Now you putting sanctions on these other nations. Hey, that's not how your mother get down, man. Right, brother. I'm gonna read that. Jeremiah 50 and 23. It reads, Jeremiah 50 and 22. The sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. From what? Those intercontinental ballistic missiles. Verse 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is the bully of the whole planet cut asunder and broken, man? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? How, Lord? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord Yahweh. The Lord say, you was not aware. Why was you not aware? Because when you read it in Obadiah 1, it say what? Let's get this again. Obadiah 1 and 7, read the point. It say, Obadiah 1 and 7, it say, there is none understanding in him. So you don't understand what's going on, man. Same precept in Isaiah 47 and 11. It reads, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Why is these things going to happen like this? The Lord is moving the chess pieces strategically, man. And who's pushing you? Who's going to draw you out? This is Jeremiah chapter 50 and 45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he have taken against Babylon, and his proposes that he have proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Who's the least of the flock? Israel, man. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Who is their habitation that he's going to make desolate with them? He's going to make Israel habitation desolate with Babylon the Great, man. Now I got one more clip. Check this out. Hey, and prophecy is playing out, man. And if you can't see this, man, you do not have the ice off. Check this out. It's a Iran rattled as Israel repeatedly bombed Iranian military bases. See, this is the least of the flock that shall draw Babylon the Great out to go to war, man. And they got an infomercial on it. Lucky for that. Salakia. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm sharing. Oh, good. It wasn't even sharing. Good. All right, so let me pull this up again. Look at this, man. It's how you know prophecy, man. Because these are the devils that's doing this wickedness, man. It's only 1 minute, 49 seconds. It say Iran rattled as Israel repeatedly bombed Iranian military bases, man.
Iran rattled as Israel repeatedly strikes key targets. The steady drumbeat of strikes, which intelligence officials said were carried out by Israel, highlighted the seeming ease with which Israeli intelligence was able to reach deep inside Iran's borders and repeatedly strike its most heavily guarded targets, often with the help of turncoat Iranians. The strikes have exposed embarrassing security lapses and left Iran's leaders looking over their shoulders as they pursue negotiations with the Biden administration aimed at restoring the 2015 nuclear agreement. The head of parliament's strategic center said Iran had turned into a haven for spies. The former commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps called for an overhaul of the country's security and intelligence apparatus. Lawmakers have demanded the resignation of top security and intelligence officials. Most alarming for Iran, Iranian officials and analysts said, was that the strikes revealed that Israel had an effective network of collaborators inside Iran, and that Iran's intelligence services had failed to find the moles. That the Israelis are effectively able to hit Iran inside in such a brazen way is hugely embarrassing and demonstrates a weakness that I think plays poorly inside Iran, said Sanam Vakil, deputy director of the Middle East and North Africa program at Chatham House. The strikes have also cast a cloud of paranoia over a country that now sees foreign plots in every mishap. Over the weekend, Iranian state television flashed a photograph of a man said to be Reza Karimi, 43, and accused him of being the perpetrator of sabotage in a situation at the Natanz nuclear enrichment plant last month. But it was unclear who he was, whether he had acted alone, and if that was even his real name.
Now you see, it's Israel, man. This is Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I am strong. Plowshares are tools for agriculture. Pruning hooks are tools for agriculture. Let them do what? Beat their pruning hooks into spears. It said beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So that's what we got going on right now, man. These weak nations have become strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathens, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause the mighty ones to come down, O power. Hey, because the angels intervene in everything, man. Like when you go to 2 Chronicles 18 and 18, the Lord put a spirit on his angels, and they come down and intervene in everything, man. That's why he said, who would go for me to deceive Ahab, man? And one angel said, I can do it, Lord. Another angel said, I can do it in this way. So it say, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So this whole thing is just to destroy all these 17 heathen nations, man. But before these other 16 heathen nations be destroyed, the one heathen nation that controls the planet, Esau, Edom, you will be destroyed first, man. The Lord used, like he used when people get judged, right? He used one person to go do something to somebody else, and then he take that person out, man. That's how the Lord do, man. He used one person to judge another, and he take that person out, man. His brother put up a fire precept. This is Adam Nana. Shalom, Yahweh Shema Shabrakatah. My page been down for 2 weeks. Hey, and at any moment it can get terminated, man. It can get deleted. Cause this is the second 2 week strike I've been on, man. Like, yeah. So at any moment, and I just created a new channel. I ain't did a lesson on it yet. I titled it It's Over with a 7 on it. It's Over 7. Hey, so when you get a chance, subscribe to that channel too, man. It's titled It's Over 7. And you know my other 2 backup channels, GMS Your Redemption Draws Now and GMS True Words for Life. Because this page is gonna go down soon, man. But this is Psalm 35 and 8. And it reads, let destruction come upon him at unawares, as I read in Isaiah 47 and 1. In Jeremiah 15 and 24, it say, let destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he have hid catch himself into that very destruction let him fall. What's you gonna do, man? And we seeing it happen. Hey, so Lord, when it's edifying, gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rikakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether they can accept it or not. And the sincere salutation to all the occupant pushing the truth and believing the truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akwath and the Akim on the comment board. Shalom to the Akim, to the Akwath who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. The water for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema shall continue to bless you in your house. Stay prayed up. The water for tuning in to the Akim and the Akwath on the comment board. So with that, I give all praises. Hey, until next time, I say shalom, wa abba ball. The water for tuning in. The new link to what? My channel, my new channel. To what? This video. Link to what? To this video I just played on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna type it in real quick. It's that's it right there. It's over 7, but it's in all caps. Put it. It's in all caps though. It's over 7 in all caps.